Sir Alex Ferguson, love him or loathe him, he is the Premier League's most successful ever manager and one of the most successful managers in all of world football. In this video, I want to talk about 7 lessons that I learned from Sir Alex Ferguson. Hi everyone, just a brief introduction. My name is Osama. I'm a pharmacist. I work in England and I've been doing YouTube for a little bit of time now. So thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoy this video. So the inspiration for this video was already present a few years ago, I would say, because I was always a big fan of Sir Alex Ferguson when he was Man United manager. I wasn't really a Man United fan, but I was a big fan of his approach to the game and how he approached management and life in general. I'd already read his autobiography, which I found really fascinating, but what led me to make this video specifically was actually this book here. Now this book is called Leadership, I think, Leading, and he wrote this book shortly after he retired as Manchester United manager. I've read it, it's fantastic, I highly recommend it, and in this video I want to talk about 7 sort of takeaway lessons that I learned from the book. So number 1, I would say the first lesson that I learned from the book was to speak less and listen more. This is something that he talks about, I think, in the very first page of the book. He basically talks about the fact that people, they talk too much, they don't listen enough, they don't see enough, they just basically don't know what's going on around them. And I think in this day and age with mobile phones, people are always transfixed looking at their mobile phones. They haven't got the situational awareness of what's going on around them, and I've got to say I've been guilty of it. Sometimes I speak too much and I don't listen enough to what's going on, but it does pay to observe. It pays big time. If you sort of don't have this situational awareness, then it does come back to bite you in the bum later on down the line. So moving on to number 2, I could probably summarize number 2 in one sentence: life is full of the unexpected. Now, when I first read this section, it really struck a chord with me, and I don't know why, but the phrase just stuck in my mind: life is full of the unexpected. In the book, he talks about the pursuit of excellence and about how you want to eliminate as many surprises as possible because life is full of the unexpected. So I had this sort of phrase in the back of my mind, and having that sort of mentality that crazy things, good and bad, can happen in life. If you sort of have that mentality that life is full of the unexpected, it's less likely to actually catch you out. And probably, I think, even with COVID, I think if you sort of have this mentality that life is full of the unexpected, you can sort of insulate yourself from some of the shocks in life because you sort of have this anticipation already that crazy things can happen. So I would say definitely that mentality has helped me in the past and continues to help me in the present, and I'm sure will help me in the future. So, number 3, winning anything requires a series of steps. So this was another fantastic sort of, message that I got from the book. If you sort of have a target or you're wanting to achieve something in life, it does require a series of steps. You simply can't go from sort of A to Z overnight. You have to do it over time. You have to do it in a series of steps. And this sort of, for me, it helped me trying to achieve things in life where, on the surface of it, it looks like it would take forever, but with that sort of mentality of a stepwise approach, it sort of gives you the ability to be patient and to do things in a series of steps. So this could be applicable to a lot of things, like for example losing weight. You have to do it in a series of steps. Or say you're going to the gym and you want to achieve certain fitness goals in the gym. Again, it requires a series of steps. I've also used this approach in my own work as a community pharmacist in my own pharmacy, where, say I had a specific business objective that my area manager had given to me, I would be careful in that I would sort of not hit the staff all at once with it. I would sort of break down the objective into a series of digestible chunks so that I could ensure it was a lot easier to achieve this target if we do it step by step, and then it's even easier for the staff to sort of get their heads around whatever it is we were trying to do. So with this stepwise approach, it sort of makes difficult targets more achievable in any walk of life. So I found that definitely useful. Presence. So what do I mean by presence? Well, what I mean by that is when a leader or a manager is actually present in the place where they work. Sometimes we as managers or leaders, we underestimate or we forget the power that our presence has on those around us, and the motivating or demotivating in some cases aspect that this can have on people around us. In fact, there was one really good anecdote in the book that Sir Alex mentioned, where he, for some reason, he wasn't present at a training session, and Rio Ferdinand, who was one of the other players at the time, had to go to Sir Alex because when he wasn't there at the training session, he said it just wasn't the same. So even Sir Alex Ferguson took it on board and realised that when he wasn't around, that his presence just wasn't felt. So by actually being there, physically present there, it does have a big impact. Certainly from my point of view, I know if I have a visit from one of my managers, it has a bigger impact on me than if I were just to get an email off them. Actually showing up, showing your face, it can have a massive impact, so use that to your advantage. Don't underestimate the power of presence. Complacency. Now, where do I start with this one? Complacency. This is one that I've been guilty of in the past, and I'm sure you guys have been as well. So in the book, Sir Alex talks about complacency as if it was a disease. He said it's an extremely dangerous state to be in, and it particularly afflicts organisations that have had success in the past but then have just sat back and become complacent. It's a really bad thing. I mean, for example, I try to stop myself from being complacent in my professional life. It's so hard to do. I mean, say I get a postgraduate qualification, it's easy just to sit back then and not take things any further and think, well, I've got my postgrad qualification, what else do I need to do? But you can't think like that, because complacency, once it does set in, like Sir Alex says in the book, it is like dry rot. It starts to affect everything, and then by the time it's detected, it's too late. The structure has collapsed. So I tried to use that in my own private life. I mean, put it another way, complacency, another way I like to rephrase it is that the competition never sleeps. So if I think I've done something good, I feel good for a bit, but then I move on, try to achieve the next thing. I just have in the back of my mind the fact that the competition never sleeps. It's just another form of complacency, but you just have to, you just have to assume the competition is right up there behind you. So don't get complacent. So number 6, the second last point, is all about distractions. In the book, Sir Alex makes a point of saying that in his experience, he has never met anyone who's had any great success without being able to manage distractions, and I think I would certainly agree with that. I know in my own life, sometimes I have to sacrifice things like going out or having a good time in order to achieve the things that I want to achieve. And to be honest with you, a lot of the time it gives me greater satisfaction anyway, trying to shut off the distractions and getting something done. I think in this day and age with smartphones, it's very difficult to shut out distractions because they're always pinging all the time. We're getting a notification here, a notification there. I know for me personally speaking, it's quite difficult. I'm sure it is for you guys. You know, you've got like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and it's so hard. You've got to just sort of, what I do, I put it on do not disturb mode a lot of the time, so I can filter out these distractions and just focus on the task at hand. But Sir Alex is very correct in the book that to achieve greatness, you do have to minimize distractions. There's simply no other way around it. So last but not least, lesson number 7 is all about confidentiality and secrecy. So in the book, he describes about how if you're in a really competitive field, that confidentiality and secrecy can be a potent weapon to help you out in whatever it is you're achieving. Now, I'll tell you a little cautionary tale from myself where I didn't actually follow this advice. So about 4 years ago, if any of you guys are pharmacists, you'll know that there's a qualification called an independent prescribing qualification. So I enrolled onto this course 4 years ago, and it is quite competitive. It's hard to sort of get onto the course and get a doctor to sort of mentor you and stuff like that. And without sounding horrible, I actually just wanted to sort of not tell many people about this, sort of wanted to keep it to myself because I knew it was going to be quite a competitive field to get into. So not following my own advice, I actually went and bragged about it on Facebook that I enrolled onto this course at university. And what that did was actually alert another pharmacist in the area that I was doing this course. And this pharmacist actually, through sort of seeing what I put on Facebook, actually got themselves onto the course a while later, and that sort of indirectly gave me a bit of competition within this narrow field. So it was actually something that I wish I hadn't done. I wish I hadn't put this thing on Facebook. So actually goes back to the original point what Sir Alex was talking about. If you're wanting to achieve something and you're in a really competitive field, just keep it to yourselves for as long as you can. Obviously there's going to be a period where you're going to have to let people know, but I certainly wish that I kept this thing about the independent prescriber qualification to myself. Now, I know that probably sounds quite harsh to a lot of people, but unfortunately we are in a highly competitive world, and any sort of competitive advantage that you can have over other people is very important. So, don't dismiss it. Confidentiality and secrecy, they sound like bad things, but when you're in competition with other people, it's a potent weapon, so use it. So we've come to the end of the video. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I do hope that you have found the 7 lessons out of this book quite useful. To be honest with you, there's definitely more than 7 lessons in this book, but I just picked out the ones that I felt personally were the ones that most applicable to me. So if you enjoyed this video, I hope to see you soon. It's been a pleasure filming it. I really like to sort of almost get this stuff off my chest and share some of these amazing things that I've read about. So hopefully see you soon in another video, and take care. And once again, thanks for sharing your time with me. Thank you. Bye.